Hi everyone! In this tutorial I'm going to teach you how to take apart and reassemble the cube for your Gigaminx. But if you're here to learn how to assemble the DIY version, then click on this video right there. That includes only the assembly of it. But this tutorial will also include the disassembly. So if you bought the Gigaminx as a whole and you want to learn how to take apart and reassemble it, then stay right here. So, for those of you that are staying, let's get to it! Okay, and just to let you know, when I recorded this video, I just had it into the scrambled position. Anyway, to take it apart, simply just take off one of the center caps and unscrew one of the screws. There. And because of the structure of the puzzle, you know, it still is fully functional and such. So, you want to stick your nails under some of the gaps in these pieces. Just kind of grip them like this and pull it out. There. So, and don't worry about organizing the pieces, that's no big deal. So, just continue to take it all apart. Just be careful not to lose any of the pieces. There. And if you want to be very adventuresome, you can also unscrew these too. Pop. Now you probably don't even want to unscrew the core, since that's just a big pain. But I'm going to go through it anyway, and if you don't want to do it, then just ignore the parts in the video where I refer to it. Okay, so now the Gigaminx is completely disassembled. Alright, now for the reassembly. Now, we're going to completely ignore the stickers on all of the pieces. We're just going to assemble it into a completely random state. And, of course, that will create parity errors that are unsolvable, but that'll be no big deal. You can just unscrew one of the centers, reposition the pieces, and yeah, it'll be no big deal. Oh, and sorry for the bright light on the desk here. I have the exposure turned up so that you can see the detail of the black pieces. Okay, so now let's get to the assembly. Go ahead and take a screw and a spring. And just a note is I have purchased longer screws. So, and these are from nicepuzzles.com. They're like the Screw+Washer+Spring set. And Cube for You also has their new long springs. So, yeah, whatever, it'll work. So, put the spring on with this flat side facing down. I'm not sure why you need to do that, but I think it's so that the spring doesn't scrape against the plastic down in there and creates plastic dust, I guess. So, yeah, just stick it in there and down in. Now, with my particular screws, I have found that I need to screw them in with 25 hand turns so that all of the pieces fit snugly in between the centers. But it may differ for the screws that you're using, so just if the pieces, when you put them in, don't fit right, then you may need to adjust the screws. So I'm going to do that 25 times. Okay, so generally when you pull on it, it should just barely or not even at all come out of the little notch from the core. Okay, so do this just one more time. And after that, go ahead and take one of these larger edges and these center edges and just slide it onto one center and do the same with another thing. And make sure they're in there snugly so that they don't fall out. So if you have different screws than mine, make sure that you counted the amount of wrist turns that it took for you to screw in one of these centers, and then apply that same number for all of the others so that you have even tension throughout it. Okay, so after you know I'm just gonna get them out of the way. After you know how many turns that you should apply to screw in these, go ahead and screw in the rest of the centers except one. We will be saving that for when putting in the last few pieces of the puzzle. Okay, all finished except for that last piece that I left off on purpose. So go ahead and start finding these pieces that I showed you before and fit them together like this. And then just put them between any two centers. There. Do the same with another set. And put those right next to the other ones. There, just like that. Then find one of these corner center pieces. Just looks like this. Stick that right on there. Then find one of these outer edge pieces. Just look like that. Put one there. Find another one. Put it here. Then take a corner piece. And stick it down in there. Then find another corner center. Put it right there. Another here. Then an outer edge. There we go. Put that in there. And then one of these inner edges. And then a center edge. Where are they? There's one. Slide it down in there. Do the same for the other side. And there we go. There's the first corner section. So basically, you just continue doing this until you've got the whole thing filled up, except for this last section here. And the last piece. There. Okay, now there's a few things I want to say about assembling this, so I'll rewind the video a bit. So it's about getting these pieces in, so see what I recorded. So you see, if I take this little center edge and try to shove it, it can be tough. So you want to make sure to try to push down on this middle edge piece. So, yeah. After you get one in, the other will come in much more easily. And another thing is, when I assembled this corner section here first, and then I worked on to this one, and it was very difficult to like get this corner. I had to bring it down into here, and then bring the pieces. It was a little difficult, so I just kind of shoved the whole mechanism over. So here's where I showed that. Now, as you probably know, the Gigaminx uses the same mechanism as the V-Cube 5, only in a dodecahedron form. And if you've seen my tutorial for the V-Cube 5, you know that we just continue assembling each corner section, although to do that, of course, the center would be there. So we'd just be assembling each corner section until it would be completely assembled. But when it comes to the last corner section, it is practically impossible to get this last corner in there. And the same goes for like these edge pieces too. And with these weak stocks here, it's very risky that you could go and break this. So it's better to just put this on afterwards. So we're going to be putting the pieces up layer by layer instead of by corner section. So just go ahead and do that. Oh, and just a note, make sure that you end with one of these outer edge pieces so that you can, you may have to pull them apart. A little difficult, but just kind of squeeze it in there. Hopefully all the pieces won't go flying off. There we go. So for the next layer, what we want to do is take these corner and edge pieces and then just kind of all fit them in there and hold them in place until they're all in there, because they'll slip down into the hole. So after you get this far and you've got two corners and an edge to go, no, one corner and two edges, then put the corner in there first, and then put the edge piece in between the last two edge pieces in between the corners, like that. And the other one, get in there. There. And just put these little outer edge pieces in between them all. Okay, so now for the final section of it. Oh, and ignore that. I already went through 2 of these blue stickers. One wore out, I replaced it, and the other one fell out afterwards. Ah, bad cube. Okay, so for the next and last part, if I can get to it, okay. Take the centerpiece and go ahead and stick on a center cap, just to elevate it, and then just start putting in these pieces around it. I'll zoom in. So, put the center edges around it like this, and then the corner centers, just like that, and just kind of push on the edge centers. Then take the Gigaminx, and just the way the structure works, you know, it'll stay together quite well. Then just turn it upside down, like this, and then just put it right on top, and it pops right in place. Pop off the center cap, and then you can screw in the last screw. And remember to screw it in with the same number of wrist turns, and if you don't get what a wrist turn is, a turn that you can make with your whole wrist. Alright, now that you have the Gigaminx all assembled, it's time to set the tensions, because right now, we have it set pretty tight here. So go ahead and loosen it using the same amount of turns for each center. And I'm just gonna, after I adjust each screw, I'm gonna put a center cap on to just let me know that I've already tightened that one. Now, I believe 15 will be a good amount for me, so yep, just go ahead and do that with yours. Whew, my arm is tired. There, and now I've got it to a much better tension. If you need to continue to adjust your tension, then just go ahead and pop off a center cap, tighten or loosen, and then pop off another center cap, tighten or loosen, and so on and so forth. And just keep in mind, the more that you loosen the puzzle, the more and more it will lock up as you turn the layers. Okay, so for those of you that did take off the center caps, maybe you wanted to do some tension adjusting, then you're gonna want to solve all of the corners so that you know where each centerpiece goes. So for example, oh wait, here, let me adjust the exposure so that you can see the colors better. There, much. So, like, for example, take this green and pink corner and match it up with this green and pink corner, and then just continue doing that. You should have no problem solving it this way. Okay, so I've got all of my corners paired up, except for the last layer. So I didn't bother to position these corners or orient them or anything. I just know that each of these corners all have a light yellow on them. And, whoa, okay, coincidentally, it's all on the yellow center. That's funny. So just go ahead and pop off the rest of the centers, and then just put them between the corners that they belong in. Okay, so red goes here, and yeah, just continue doing that for the rest of the pieces. Okay, so now that I've got all of the centers in position, I can begin solving it. I'll get back to you after I solve it as best as possible. Okay, so I have it set up here, and I also have it set up so every possible parity error that can occur on the Gigaminx is now displayed here. The first one up is where these two edge pieces are flipped with each other. Now, this is normally possible to do on a 5x5 cube, but it's not possible on the Gigaminx. And it's also possible that these two edges could be switched with each other correctly, and then the middle one could be switched, but yeah, that doesn't matter. And then the next one that comes up is where all three of these edges are flipped wrong, and this corner is also flipped wrong. And then we've got these two edges that are swapped with each other, and then these two corners, which are swapped with each other. Now, again, normally on a 3x3, you can just apply the T permutation and fix this parity error, but just like with this case, you cannot fix it on the Gigaminx. Okay, so to simply fix these, just unscrew the screw, pull out the pieces, like I showed you at the beginning of the tutorial. Try to keep them together, and simply pull out the pieces that you need to pull out, and then replace them correctly. Okay, so now I could just put the Gigaminx back on top of this. Screw it in place, and then we'll be done. Alright, so now this concludes the tutorial on how to take apart and reassemble the Gigaminx.